Today I'm going to reveal how Stoicism can completely transform your interactions with women. Many men fall into emotional traps that destroy their attractiveness without realizing it. Disproportionate emotional investment, changing values to please, a scarcity mindset and dependence on female validation are pitfalls that undermine your masculinity. In the next few minutes, you'll discover practical Stoic principles to maintain emotional independence while increasing your success with women. These ancient tools have surprisingly powerful applications in the modern world of relationships. Imagine the scene. You meet an amazing woman, exchange some exciting messages, set up a date, and then she cancels at the last minute. Your day is ruined, your self-esteem plummets, and you spend hours trying to figure out what you did wrong. Meanwhile, she goes on with her life normally, without thinking twice about it. Sound familiar? This is just one of the emotional traps that destroy your attractiveness without you even noticing. The ancient Stoic philosophers developed powerful techniques to maintain emotional independence in any circumstance. What few people know is that these same principles, when applied to interactions with women, can completely reverse the power dynamic in relationships. In the next few minutes, you'll discover exactly how to implement these principles in your life, transforming yourself into the type of man who naturally attracts high-quality women. The first trap that destroys your attractiveness is disproportionate emotional investment. Women have an extremely accurate radar for detecting when a man is more emotionally invested than they are. And contrary to what many men think, this doesn't attract them. Quite the opposite, it drastically diminishes your value in their eyes. Think back to the last time you were obsessed with a woman. You probably rearranged your schedule to see her, thought about her constantly, and maybe even ignored important red flags just to keep the interaction going. Every message from her caused an emotional roller coaster inside you. When she took a long time to reply, your world practically stopped. This imbalance is the perfect recipe for disaster. The Stoics understood that we can only control our own actions and reactions, never external events or the decisions of others. Epictetus, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, said, "It is not things themselves that disturb men, but their opinions about things." When you allow your emotional well-being to depend on a woman's response, you are handing over all your power to her. The Stoic solution to this problem is the principle of selective indifference. This doesn't mean becoming cold or insensitive, but rather developing the ability to separate what is within your control from what is not. When a woman cancels a date instead of dwelling on it, a Stoic man simply thinks, "This is outside my control. I will use this unexpected time for something productive." I'm going to share a practical technique you can implement today, the negative visualization exercise. Before any interaction with a woman you find attractive, take 30 seconds to visualize all possible negative outcomes. She might not show up. She might bring a friend without telling you. She might stay on her phone the whole time. By visualizing these scenarios in advance, you remove the element of surprise that normally triggers intense emotional responses. The second devastating trap is the disguised compatibility test. Have you ever caught yourself changing your opinions, tastes, and even fundamental values to please a woman? This chameleon behavior seems harmless at first glance, but it is silently communicating that you lack a solid identity. Women may not articulate this consciously, but they instinctively lose respect for men who excessively mold themselves to please them. Imagine you hate pop music, but upon discovering she's a fan of a certain artist, you suddenly find yourself praising those very songs. Or perhaps you have strong political opinions, but you soften them or even contradict them to avoid disagreements with her. This pattern of behavior is a form of self-betrayal, and women have an almost supernatural ability to detect it. Marcus Aurelius, another renowned Stoic philosopher, wrote in his Meditations, "Don't be distracted. Simplify. Look inward." Authenticity is one of the pillars of Stoicism, and it is also one of the most magnetically attractive traits in a man. When you are true to yourself, even if it means occasionally disagreeing, you demonstrate a strength of character that is infinitely more attractive than artificial agreement. The Stoic technique for cultivating this authenticity is the values inventory. Dedicate an hour to writing down your fundamental principles, your genuine preferences, and your personal truths. When interacting with a woman and feeling the temptation to mold yourself, To please her, mentally consult this inventory. Are you about to contradict an important value? If so, take a deep breath and choose authenticity, even if it creates a moment of tension. Surprisingly, many men discover that these authentic disagreements, when expressed with confidence and without aggression, actually increase their attractiveness. There is a specific technique for disagreeing that women find irresistibly confident, called empathetic disagreement. You acknowledge her position first, and then express your different view without trying to convince her. For example, "I understand why you like that music. I can see the appeal. Personally, I have a preference for more instrumental styles. I've always been that way." The third trap, perhaps the most insidious of all, is the illusion of female scarcity. This is a mental prison that makes you believe high-quality women horita, leading you to tolerate unacceptable behaviors or pursue women who are clearly unavailable. This mental block creates a cycle of desperate behavior that repels the very women you wish to attract. Think about your behavior when you meet an exceptionally attractive woman. You probably become more nervous, more eager to please, and more willing to ignore signs of disinterest. All because subconsciously, you believe that women like this are rare. I need to seize this opportunity. This scarcity mindset shows through in your every word and gesture, creating a self-fulfilling prophecy of rejection. The Stoic philosopher Seneca said, "It is difficult to find happiness within ourselves and impossible to find it anywhere else." Similarly, it is impossible to find genuine validation in women's responses if you do not first possess an internal sense of abundance. An abundance mindset is not just an abstract concept. It is an objective reality. There are billions of women in the world and thousands potentially compatible with you. To cultivate this abundance mindset, I will share a practical 7-day exercise that has transformed the dating lives of hundreds of men. Each day, force yourself to initiate casual interactions with at least 5 different women, with no romantic expectation whatsoever. It could be a simple comment in the coffee shop line, a sincere compliment to a coworker, or a question to a stranger at the gym. The goal is not to get phone numbers or dates, but rather to reprogram your brain to see female interactions as abundant and commonplace, instead of rare and loaded with pressure. After a week of this exercise, you will notice a surprising transformation in how you approach women you find attractive. The anxiety decreases drastically because your brain is no longer operating under the illusion that this is a too rare opportunity to waste. The fourth and final trap represents the complete collapse of masculine independence, dependence on external validation. The Stoics called this emotional slavery, when your value as a man fluctuates based on the reactions of the women around you. This pattern starts subtly. You feel on cloud 9 when she responds quickly to your messages, and completely devastated when she takes a long time. Your productivity at work, your mood, and even your daily decisions become influenced by these interactions. Have you ever stopped to analyze how women seem instinctively more attracted to men who seek their validation the least? There is a deeply rooted explanation in female psychology for this. Women have evolved to be extremely sensitive to signs of masculine status, and one of the most powerful indicators of high status is precisely the ability to maintain emotional equilibrium regardless of others' approval. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus had a simple but profound exercise for developing this emotional independence. He recommended that his disciples regularly practice voluntary privations, temporarily abstaining from pleasurable things to remember that happiness does not depend on them. Adapting this principle to your interactions with women, you can implement what I call the validation fasting technique. Choose a 24-hour period during which you will deliberately abstain from seeking any form of female validation. Don't check social media to see if she liked your photo. Don't send messages hoping for replies. Don't initiate conversations with the secret hope of receiving a compliment. This exercise is incredibly revealing. It exposes how much of your daily behavior is motivated by the pursuit of female approval. During this fast, focus exclusively on activities that are intrinsically valuable to you. Physical exercise, creative projects, learning new skills, or quality time with friends who respect you for who you are. This redirection of energy not only improves your life overall, but also creates an aura of intriguing self-confidence that women immediately notice. Many men discover after repeating this exercise a few times that they naturally start attracting more female attention precisely when they are least concerned about getting it, an irony that the Stoics understood perfectly over 2,000 years ago. If you are recognizing yourself in any of these traps, know that you are not alone. Most men have never received adequate emotional education to navigate modern relationships while keeping their independence and dignity intact. The good news is that once these patterns are identified, you can begin transforming them immediately. Now let's delve deeper and explore advanced Stoic communication techniques that make women instinctively pursue you. These are not manipulative tactics, but rather authentic forms of expression that communicate strength of character and emotional independence, qualities irresistibly attractive to high-quality women. The first advanced technique is values-centered communication. While most men try to impress by talking about material achievements or social status, the Stoic man communicates principles and values. When a woman asks about you, instead of listing your accomplishments or possessions, briefly share what you value in life and why. For example, instead of saying, "I work as a financial manager at a multinational company," you can say, "I'm passionate about helping businesses grow sustainably. I currently do this as a financial manager." This small shift in communication instantly establishes that you are not seeking approval, but rather genuinely sharing who you are. It also creates a deeper level of connection, as values resonate emotionally much more than facts or credentials. The second advanced Stoic communication technique is the strategic use of silence. In an age of constant digital noise and men desperately trying to fill every moment of silence, your ability to be comfortable in pauses during conversation conveys magnetic confidence. The Stoics understood the power of silence as a tool for self-mastery and an expression of inner security. In practice, this means not immediately replying to every message, not anxiously filling silences in face-to-face conversations, and occasionally leaving her questions unanswered when they are clearly validation tests. This technique requires discernment. The goal is not to ignore her, but rather to demonstrate that you are not available 24/7, eager to respond to the slightest sign of attention. A practical exercise to develop this comfort with silence is what I call the Stoic breathing technique. When you feel the anxious impulse to fill a silence or immediately reply to a provocative message, take 3 deep breaths and ask yourself, does replying now increase or decrease my value in her eyes? Often, you will realize that waiting conveys much more strength than the instant reply you are about to give. The third advanced communication technique is Stoic framing. Framing is the perspective through which you present situations, and it has a huge impact on how women respond to you. Most men unconsciously frame interactions from an inferior position. I hope she likes me. I hope she accepts my invitation. Did I say something wrong? Stoic framing completely reverses this dynamic. You approach each interaction from the perspective of someone evaluating whether she is compatible with your values and lifestyle, not the other way around. This doesn't mean being arrogant or disrespectful, but rather maintaining a mindset of conscious selection instead of desperate pursuit. In practice, this manifests in small linguistic changes that have profound psychological effects. For example, instead of asking, "Would you like to go out with me on Friday?" you can say, "I'm going to the new Japanese restaurant on Friday. It would be nice to have your company." The first phrasing implicitly asks for approval. The second invites participation in something you would do anyway. This type of framing subtly communicates that you are the prize to be won, not the other way around. Women instinctively respond to this inversion of value, often becoming more interested and invested in the interaction. It's astonishing how small changes in language can completely transform the dynamic of a relationship. Let's now move on to mastering emotions through specific Stoic techniques. One of the biggest masculine vulnerabilities in romantic interactions is the inability to properly manage intense emotions, whether positive or negative. The Stoics developed powerful methods for maintaining mental clarity, even under extreme emotional pressure. The first emotional mastery technique is preventive visualization. Before any important interaction with a woman you find attractive, whether it's a first date or a difficult conversation, Dedicate 5 minutes to visualizing challenging scenarios in detail. Imagine her testing your boundaries, making provocative comments or showing disinterest. For each scenario, visualize yourself, responding with calmness, humor, and self-control. This preventive exercise programs your subconscious to react appropriately under pressure. When the actual moment arrives, you will have already mentally rehearsed the situation, removing the element of surprise that normally triggers impulsive reactions. It's like creating a mental script that your brain can follow automatically, even when your emotions are intense. The second emotional mastery technique is cognitive distancing. When you feel an intense emotion arising during an interaction, be it jealousy, insecurity, anger, or even excessive euphoria, practice observing that emotion as if you were a scientist studying an interesting phenomenon rather than someone completely immersed in it. In practice, this means taking a 3-second mental pause and thinking, "I'm noticing that I'm feeling jealous right now. Interesting. It's just a temporary thought pattern, not an objective truth." This small distance between you and your emotions creates space for conscious responses instead of impulsive reactions. The third emotional mastery technique is the practice of selective indifference. The Stoics believed we should categorize all events into 3 categories: things over which we have total control, things over which we have partial control, and things over which we have no control at all. Wisdom lies in investing emotional energy proportional to your degree of control. In interactions with women, this means completely accepting that you cannot control her attraction, her responses, or her level of interest. You can only control your own behavior, appearance, and communication. When you truly internalize this principle, a remarkable tranquility replaces the anxiety that normally permeates these interactions. A practical exercise to develop this selective indifference is to create 2 lists. One with all aspects of romantic interactions that are under your control, and another with the aspects that are not. Before each date or important interaction, mentally review these lists to recalibrate your focus to what truly matters. These emotional mastery techniques not only drastically improve your attractiveness in women's eyes, but also increase your overall quality of life. The man who masters his emotions has an invaluable advantage in all areas of life, not just in relationships. Now, let's explore how Stoicism can completely transform your approach to rejection. Rejection is inevitable in any man's dating life, but how you process it makes all the difference between growth and stagnation. The Stoics developed a revolutionary perspective on adversity that, when applied to romantic rejection, completely transforms your experience. The first Stoic principle regarding rejection is to see it as valuable information, not personal failure. When a woman shows disinterest, instead of interpreting this as a judgment on your value as a man, see it as important data about compatibility. Not all keys open all locks, and not every man will be attractive to every woman, regardless of how valuable he is. A practical exercise to internalize this perspective is what I call the post-rejection compatibility analysis. After a rejection, instead of dwelling on what you did wrong, ask yourself, what evidence exists that we wouldn't have been truly compatible in the long run? Almost always you will find legitimate signs of incompatibility that you would have discovered eventually, saving time and emotional energy. The second Stoic principle regarding rejection is the practice of amor fati, loving your fate. The Stoics believed we should not just accept what happens to us, but embrace it as exactly what we needed to experience. Applied to romantic rejection, this principle encourages you to see each no as a necessary redirection onto the right path. To implement this principle, try the hidden benefit exercise. After each rejection, force yourself to identify at least 3 potential benefits that could result from it. Perhaps it will motivate you to improve specific aspects of your communication. Perhaps it will free you up to meet someone more compatible. Or perhaps it protected you from a relationship that would have been emotionally draining. The third Stoic principle regarding rejection is the separation between external events and self-assessment. Your opinion of yourself should not fluctuate based on external responses. As Epictetus said, "Seek not that things happen as you wish, but wish them to happen as they do, and you will be happy." When you base your value on intrinsic qualities, integrity, courage, self-discipline, no rejection can diminish who you are. A powerful exercise to strengthen this separation is the intrinsic value inventory. List all the valuable qualities you possess regardless of external approval: your work ethic, your loyalty to friends, your ability to overcome adversity. Consult and update this list regularly, especially after facing rejections. These Stoic principles and exercises gradually transform rejection from a feared experience into an opportunity for growth. The fascinating paradox is that the more comfortable you become with rejection, the less frequently you will experience it. Women instinctively detect when a man does not fear rejection, and this freedom from fear creates a natural attractiveness that no artificial seduction technique can replicate. Let's now integrate all these principles into a practical model for escalating attractiveness based on Stoicism. This model consists of 4 sequential levels of development, each building upon the previous one. The first level is the Stoic foundation, where you develop basic emotional independence. At this stage, the focus is on eliminating obvious validation-seeking behaviors, stopping constantly asking if she's enjoying the date, stopping seeking reassurance through insecure messages, and stopping changing your opinions to please her. This phase is primarily about unlearning negative patterns. A fundamental exercise for this level is the validation detector. For 1 week, write down in real time every time you catch yourself seeking female validation. This simple act of self-awareness begins to interrupt automatic patterns you didn't even realize you were perpetuating. Most men are shocked to discover how many dozens of times a day they subconsciously seek validation. The second level is Stoic presence, where you develop the ability to remain fully present during interactions without being overwhelmed by anxiety about the future or rumination about the past. At this stage, you learn to listen deeply, observe body language accurately, and respond to the present moment instead of pre-programmed mental scripts. A powerful technique for developing this presence is the sensory anchoring exercise. During interactions with women, practice periodically noticing 3 things you can see, 2 you can hear, and 1 you can physically feel. This simple exercise pulls your awareness into the present moment, interrupting spirals of worry and allowing for a magnetic presence that women find irresistibly attractive. The third level is Stoic expression, where you develop the ability to authentically express your thoughts, values, and desires without fear-based filters. Many men operate under constant self-censorship around attractive women, carefully calculating every word to maximize approval and minimize rejection. This constant filtering results in artificial communication that women instinctively detect as inauthentic. A transformative exercise for developing authentic expression is the daily truth challenge. Once a day, during interactions with women, force yourself to express a genuine thought that you would normally filter. It doesn't have to be controversial or provocative, just authentic. For example, if you genuinely dislike a movie she loves, express that with quiet conviction instead of faking interest. This practice gradually deconditions the habit of excessively filtering your authentic expression. The fourth and most advanced level is Stoic purpose, where you develop a clear life mission that is more important to you than any individual romantic interaction. The Stoics called this telos, the greater purpose that guides all your decisions. Paradoxically, when a woman perceives that you have priorities more important than winning her over, your attractiveness increases exponentially. To develop this level, dedicate yourself to the purpose orientation exercise. Write a clear statement of the impact you want to have on the world during your life. This statement should be specific enough to guide daily decisions, but broad enough to inspire long-term commitment. Review this statement daily, especially before important romantic interactions, to recalibrate your mindset. As you progress through these 4 sequential levels, a remarkable transformation occurs. You stop seeing interactions with women as a test you need to pass and start seeing them as opportunities to express who you truly are. This shift in perspective is profoundly liberating and, ironically, extremely attractive to high-quality women. We now come to the final and perhaps most important component of Stoicism applied to attraction: consistent practice. Knowledge without implementation is essentially useless. The Stoics were deeply pragmatic, and emphasize the importance of systematic daily practice to internalize philosophical principles. The most effective method for implementing all these principles is what I call the 30-day Stoic ritual. For an entire month, you commit to daily practice of specific exercises that reinforce emotional independence and authentic attractiveness. Here is the recommended structure. In the morning, dedicate 10 minutes to revisiting your greater purpose and visualizing yourself, maintaining emotional independence during the day's interactions. This preventive mental preparation programs your subconscious for responses aligned with Stoic principles. During the day, practice at least one of the exercises we discussed, be it the validation detector, compatibility analysis, strategic silence technique, or any other that resonates with your specific personal challenges. The key is daily consistency, not perfection. In the evening, dedicate 5 minutes to honest reflection on your performance. Where did you demonstrate authenticity and emotional independence? Where did you fall back into old patterns of validation seeking? Without judgment or self-criticism, simply note the areas that need more attention. After 30 days of this structured practice, you will notice that behaviors that previously required conscious effort begin to become your automatic default response. This is how genuine transformation occurs, not through artificial seduction techniques, but through the systematic rebuilding of your fundamental emotional patterns. Everything I've shared today goes completely against most dating advice you've likely received throughout your life. Our culture consistently promotes the idea that you must do more, try harder, and strive more to win over high-quality women. Stoicism offers a radically different alternative. The more you develop genuine emotional independence, the less you need to do, and the more naturally attractive you become. If you implement even just a fraction of these principles and exercises, you will already experience a remarkable transformation in the quality of your romantic interactions. Women will start noticing you in a different way, not as someone trying to win them over, but as a man who knows his own value and lives according to solid principles. The ultimate goal is not to manipulate women to get specific results, but rather to develop a character so strong and authentic that rejection loses its power over you, and external approval becomes secondary to your own integrity. When you reach this state, what the Stoics would call ataraxia or unperturbed tranquility, you discover the final paradox: the less you chase, the more you attract. Implementing these principles requires courage and persistence, especially at first, as you will be challenging years of social conditioning and ingrained emotional patterns. But the freedom and power that come with true emotional independence are worth every moment of discomfort. Are you ready to embark on this journey of transformation? Are you willing to challenge beliefs that have limited your attractiveness and sabotaged your relationships? If so, start today with just one of the exercises we discussed. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, and your journey to becoming the kind of man who naturally attracts high-quality women begins with a single conscious decision. If this video resonated with you, leave your comment below, sharing which of the 4 emotional traps has been most challenging in your life. Your honesty will not only solidify your commitment to change, but also help other men who are facing similar challenges. In the next video of this series, I will reveal advanced nonverbal communication techniques based on Stoic principles, gestures, postures, and expressions that silently communicate high value and emotional independence. Subscribe now and turn on notifications so you don't miss this crucial continuation. Remember, your ability to maintain emotional independence is not just the key to authentic masculine attractiveness. It is the foundation for a life of dignity, purpose, and genuinely satisfying relationships. As the Stoic philosopher Seneca said, "The greatest wealth is to live content with little, for contentment comes from within."